Yeah, what's up, everybody? It is Wednesday, December 4th, right? Yeah, second, third, fourth. Um, so NASDAQ and S&P made a new high today. Dow is close to its high. Um, we still have very, very strong leading flows. They're coming down from that peak that we saw in November. November had the quarterly interest payment, and then November also had the first of the month payments, which should have gone out on December 1st, but because of a weekend, they went out on the 29th of November. So November had like a double spike in these leading flows, and that's why it was a very, very strong month for risk assets, stocks in particular. One of the things I want to talk about today is Bitcoin, because Trump just nominated a guy for the SEC. Remember now, Biden's guy at the SEC, he was kind of like an anti-Bitcoin guy. And let me just say, for full disclosure, I got nothing against Bitcoin. I don't own any Bitcoin. I own Coinbase stock when it came out as an IPO, and then it dropped like way down, but now it's way up again. So I'm making money again on that stock, but I don't own any Bitcoin. And from the very beginning, when Bitcoin started to get talked about, and I don't know, years ago, I've said like that was a manifest. At the time, I said that was a manifestation of the world looking for an alternative to the US dollar, because the US government was basically weaponizing the dollar with sanctions and locking people out of the dollar-based global financial system. And that was my original thinking. I think now Bitcoin has kind of taken on a rationale all of its own. But here's the thing I want to talk about. So Trump, Gensler, who was the SEC chief under Biden, and he's leaving, he was kind of like against Bitcoin. He was anti-Bitcoin. Nevertheless, we still see Bitcoin near about 100,000, and it's going to go over that. But Trump just brought in this new guy, and I forget his name. He just announced it today. But this guy is supposedly a very pro-Bitcoin person. And there seems to be others surrounding Trump, like Howard Lutnick and others who are very pro-Bitcoin. And Trump himself, bizarrely, I think, during his campaign, his presidential campaign, several times he talked about the United States having some kind of a Bitcoin reserve, which I think is a ridiculously stupid idea for a country that is a sovereign currency issuing country. And the United States, the US dollar, is the most widely held and the most widely used currency in the world. What is the point of having a Bitcoin reserve for the United States? If anything, all you're doing, you're transferring money. And I never say taxpayer money, because that's not really what it is, but I'm going to invoke that just to kind of emphasize how stupid it is. Taxpayer money transferred to Bitcoin owners. So if they actually go ahead with this thing, Bitcoin's going to be like in the millions, or a million at least. If the United States, the biggest economy in the world, with federal government, the largest net spender in the world, if the United States under Trump now decides to create a Bitcoin reserve, for what reason, I have no idea. Basically, all that's writing checks to people who own Bitcoin. Why would you want to do that? Like, if you want to write checks, from my point of view, if you want to write checks, if you're in control of the government and this vast, basically unlimited spending power of the United States as a currency issuer. If you want to write checks, what about writing checks to your own citizens? What about writing checks for infrastructure or basic science and research or healthcare or education or alternative energy or the environment? I mean, like there's a million different things that I could think of as opposed to writing checks to owners of Bitcoin. But I'm not the guy in control. But here's the thing, if they actually go ahead with that, you want to be one of those owners of Bitcoin who gets those checks written to you. Okay? I mean, it's kind of like, if we get back to this discussion that I've been having over the last couple of weeks about how senseless it is for the United States government to pay interest on its own money. And basically that's writing checks to people with money or financial institutions that already have plenty of money. Again, I just see this as as an exercise in stupidity. I mean, it makes absolutely no sense to write checks to people who hold Bitcoin. I mean, what kind of productive value comes from that? I mean, we have infrastructure that's fallen apart. You know, we have high levels of homelessness. We got, you know, the list goes on and on and on. And I just think that's a very stupid and ill-conceived idea. But like I'm saying, he surrounded himself with these Bitcoin proponents. They must know something. And I'm telling you, I have no way of knowing this. But I'm sure they're all heavily, you know, stocked up on Bitcoin, and they're going to push for this policy because it's going to make, if they're rich, it's going to make them really, really, really rich. There's a bunch of ways you could play this. I mean, there's actual Bitcoin. There are Bitcoin futures. There's that Coinbase, which is an exchange, and I have that stock. There's companies that own Bitcoin. What's the name of that company? That Michael Saylor guy, Saylor. I forget the name of his company. He's a big Bitcoin guy. I think maybe Palantir, which is a stock that I bought at the IPO, but then I got out, but it shot up. I think they might have Bitcoin. There's a bunch of companies, maybe even Elon Musk's Tesla. I don't know. They might own a bunch of Bitcoin. So that's another way to play it. But anyway, I just wanted to let you guys know that if this actually becomes a thing, that the United States government creates a Bitcoin reserve, I mean, put a number on it. Put a number on it, because that's where it's going to go. All right, that's number one. Number two, me personally, I don't know how you guys feel, but like, I'm going to try to keep on learning and growing and doing things till I die. And that applies to investing and trading. Like, some people would say to me, you know, Mike, I've reached a certain age and I'm done with this now. I don't know if they're telling me that just to, you know, be polite, because maybe they were subscribers, and maybe they're just being polite as a polite way of saying, you know, I don't like your stuff. I wanna, you know, cancel it or whatever. But like, to me, why would you stop? And what age is that? I mean, Warren Buffett is 94 years old. He's still doing this. Why would you stop? It's like, I've been, you know, working out and doing physical fitness my whole entire life. And I remember when I was a kid and I started working out and lifting weights and stuff like that, people used to say to me, yeah, well, what's going to happen when you stop? You know, back in the old days, they used to think that muscle turns to fat. Muscle doesn't turn to fat. It may lose its tone. You know, you get, you know, tissue decline. It doesn't turn to fat. And my answer was always, why am I going to stop? You know, it's a lifestyle. I don't get into it to do it for a few months or a few years. I do it because it becomes my lifestyle. Same thing with this. Like, why am I going to stop? Because I reach a certain age. I'm 67. I mean, I'm going to keep on going. First of all, I like the intellectual challenge. I like the money. Don't get me wrong. I like the intellectual challenge of pitting my wits against others in the marketplace. I like the analytical part, especially, with the understanding of MMT and being able to apply that. Why would you stop at a certain age? I don't understand it. Maybe somebody can explain that to me. Why would you stop? It doesn't make any sense. And for me, it has nothing to do with how much money. Maybe you have enough money. But being engaged in something, especially an activity where, yes, there's a monetary reward, but there's also an intellectual reward. There's also a curiosity factor. There's also a learning factor, an educational experience. I used to have people where they would come to me and they would, I'm very interested in MMT. Great, I got interested in it, 24, 25 years ago. Great, that's fantastic. And then after a month, it's like, okay, I got it now. That would be like me with my boxing. Signing up at a boxing gym, going there for a month or two, and saying, okay, now I got it all. I got it all down. I'm going to go fight professionally. I mean, it's ridiculous. Life is about constant growth, constant learning. At least that's how I view it. And it's about expanding the envelope of experiences all the time. I always come back to this boxing analogy, and this is kind of like a little bit a segue off of this topic that I've just been talking about. But we don't have any, there's not a sparring session at my boxing gym. There used to be at the boxing gym when I was in Los Angeles. We had certain days, Wednesdays and Fridays, where it was only sparring, okay? So I had twice a week. At this gym that I belong to in Florida, there's no specific sparring, period or class or, time that we do this. But I go to the gym and I look around and I say, does anyone want to get into the ring with me for a few rounds? Okay? Most people, most days I'll find somebody who's willing to come into the ring. Now, when I go to the gym, to the boxing gym, I'm already in my head a little bit anxious. I'll be honest with you, okay? I'll be very honest with you, because I don't think I'm that good. But I like to challenge myself and put myself into uncomfortable situations. I'm already thinking about this way before. And I'm thinking about, oh man, I got to spar. I don't see it as an appealing thing. Like when I'm thinking about it in my head, like it's almost scary in a way. I mean, you're in there, you're getting punched. It's not fun when you're getting punched. It's like Mike Tyson said, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. And that happens. I've gotten bloody noses and black eyes and stuff like that. And, but I make it a point to push myself. I get into that gym. I look around. Some guys I know who I've sparred with before, and I try to get guys who are better than me. And I force myself to go. They don't come to me. Sometimes the coach will say, Mike, you want to do a couple of rounds? And that's great. That's easy. I don't even have to initiate. But if he's not coming, if he's busy, training other people or, whatever, I look around and I ask guys, hey, you want to get into the ring? I force myself to do it. But then once I do it and I'm done, I'm on a high, man. I'm on a high. So I always try to emphasize the two things. Well, I try to emphasize a lot of things, But I mean, when I do these videos, I talk about, put yourself in uncomfortable positions all the time. Go after that discomfort and reframe it in your head. Reframe it in your head. Like for me, it's like, I don't want to do it, but I'm going to do it. It's like the same thing. Like I talked about motivation. I said motivation is overrated. Okay. You always hear about, you got to be motivated, or motivational speakers, rah, rah, rah. Motivation is overrated. I mean, I'm not motivated to go to the gym at, 4:30 in the morning and then follow that up at to go to my boxing. I do it out of a discipline. Okay. The same thing with the application of what I do in the markets. I mean, there's some days, I'll be honest with you, there's some days I'll wake up, I'll look at my phone, I'll see where the markets are. I'm like, oh my God, this sucks. Everything's against me. What am I doing this for? But then it's a discipline, like stick with the process. Stick with the process. Apply it over and over and over again. All right? That's growth. That's pushing against resistance. That's like when I tell you guys, you got to reframe these uncomfortable situations. When it comes to investing, when it comes to the market, you got to reframe this in your head. Like, this is growth. This is a good thing. Like, get through it. Stay focused on the process. Don't sit there and look at the price all the time or look at your account statement. So getting back to the other thing is this idea of constantly being engaged, which means constant learning. And I come back to the question, like, why would you stop? Because you're a certain age? Maybe it's just me. I don't know. But that doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. And again, that just might be like a polite way of saying, like, I don't want the service. You could come out and tell me you don't want the service, but like, why would you stop? It doesn't make any sense to me. Because of an age? That's like, I'm ready to die. No thanks. There's going to be that time, okay, when that's going to happen. It's going to happen to all of us. But until then, like, push on, man. There's no point in stopping. Especially, now I happen to be stubborn. That's my character trait. I'm a Taurus. So we're stubborn. I never quit. I never quit. And if something's not working, like, I'm like the bull, man. I just keep digging and pushing and making it work. Now, to some people, that might be like a character trait that is like, they don't want to have anything to deal with that, the stubbornness. But it's worked for me, okay? It's maybe taken me longer sometimes because I stick to something. Maybe there's a better way, but I want to do it my way. To do it my way. But man, why would you quit? Why would you stop? Warren Buffett's 94 years old. He's still doing it. Why would you stop? I don't understand it. Maybe somebody can explain it to me. Anyway, that's it for today, folks. Please like and subscribe. If you've done that already, thank you very much. And don't forget to go to my website, pitbulleconomics.com. Sign up for a 30-day free trial to MMT Trader. Remember, I'm the only one who has an applied approach to MMT. I take the concepts and understandings of MMT and I show you how to use that to understand the economy, to invest in the financial markets, okay, to go against the crazy monetarist crowd who doesn't even understand their own monetarism. You learn, you grow, you do well. Have a good night. Talk to you tomorrow. Bye.